When I read the scripts for season 3, I was very excited.
He's just created what I believe to be the best one yet. It's just completely action-packed.
I think a lot of people were expecting this explosive ending in the last one, which didn't quite happen, but this year they won't be disappointed.
I don't think I've ever been more excited and terrified to read scripts like this. So, yeah, I just feel really lucky to be a part of it, to be honest.
Radio check. 7-0, radio check.
Okay, thank you. Operation Damson is an ongoing initiative aimed at detection/prevention of gangland murders.
Season 3 continues in the tradition of Line of Duty having a new serial story with each series. So we introduce a brand new police officer who's under investigation for corruption, Sergeant Danny Waldron, played by Daniel Mays. He's a firearms officer who's involved in the shooting of a suspect, and there are suspicious circumstances surrounding that shooting, which then brings in our investigators from the anti-corruption unit, AC-12, who are our regular returning characters of Steve Arnott, played by Martin Compston, Kate Fleming, played by Vicky McClure, and Ted Hastings, who's the commander of the unit, played by Adrian Dunbar.
The suspect was an armed criminal with a history of violence posing an immediate and credible threat to the public. In respect of Operation Damson, on May 13th, the Strategic Firearms Commander authorised the use of firearms. Under Section 3 of the Criminal Law Act 1967, I am also entitled to use such force as is reasonable in the circumstances to prevent crime. And under Section 117 of the Police and Criminal Evidence Act 1984, I am entitled to use reasonable force in the exercise of police powers. Under common law, I have the lawful right to use lethal force for preservation of life or in self-defence where this threat is immediate. At no time has anyone in this room put forward credible evidence that I acted unlawfully.
The main story development is they're investigating an armed firearm unit. So obviously, the police are in a lot more jeopardy at that time because the guys are investigating have got access to guns.
Sign that you understand the law regarding the legal use of force as outlined by the SFC. You'll each sign out your weapon. You'll each sign out the type of ammunition and the number of rounds.
I hate guns. When you're sort of on set and you know everything's pretend and it's, you know, you can have a bit of fun with it, but actually, when you first handle it, it's quite a scary concept. And I did have to go and learn how to shoot a gun. So I did go to an armoury and shoot a gun for real, which was an experience because there's never going to come a time in my life that I'm going to get to do that. And the power of these guns, it does make you appreciate, you know, I don't want to get into like a debate about it, but it does make you appreciate the sort of power that these things have. So feeling that was, yeah, it was great fun in that respect, but I was in a controlled environment. And then handling them on set and using them, you know, it sort of changes the way that you sort of stand, and it made me feel hard.
This investigation is far from over, son. As far as I'm concerned, we've only just scratched the surface.
At the start of season 3, about a year has gone by, a year to 18 months since the end of season 2. So we're in a situation where they've investigated a number of other cases. They're more experienced. They are much more settled in their roles. In terms of their personal lives, though, things aren't so rosy for Superintendent Hastings. He's separated from his wife. The same goes for Kate Fleming. She's separated from her partner. But in contrast to that, Steve Arnott, who tended to have the most checkered personal life, has settled down into a steady relationship with another police officer who's a new character to the series, Detective Sergeant Sam Railston, played by Aisha Hart.
Supposed to do with these? Happy anniversary.
It's interesting, you've got a strong core cast with Vicky McClure, Martin Compston, Adrian Dunbar, and bringing in any guest character is also going to stand out. And the difference this time is rather than bringing in just one guest with Danny Mays, we also have his team behind him as well. So we have Arsher Ali, we have Will Mellor, we have Leanne Best, who've come in playing Harry, Rod and Jackie. So there is a team behind the guest team, and that allows us to investigate more story, basically.
Oi. You going to tell us how it went with AC-12?
You first.
We stuck to the story, mate.
That you gave us much of a choice.
That's we all stuck to the story.
I think being Series 3, we're quite settled now in terms of preparing for it. I think preparing for Line of Duty is preparing for the lines of duty. There's so many of them.
Why did you keep firing? Are you losing it out there, fella?
I cite under common law my lawful right to use lethal force for preservation of life or in self-defence where this threat is immediate.
Yes, and in response, I cite Section 117 of the Police and Criminal Evidence Act, the use of reasonable force, and for the tape, the emphasis is mine and not contained in the Act.
That's an easy argument from behind a desk.
From behind this desk, Sergeant, we uphold standards.
Our trademarks became these long interview scenes, which are a challenge. You know, it's like having a mini play, and it's very brave for TV. And I think the final episode, I've never seen anything like this done on TV before. You know, it's a bit of a mad ending to it, but the majority of it takes place around one table. I know for a final film, it's very brave, but it's what's so good about Jed's writing. It's so exciting, and it's literally just three people sitting around a table with chunks of paper, just throwing this information back at each other. But they are tough.
Things get a wee bit fuzzy for me here, Sergeant. Maybe you could be a ray of sunshine and burn off the fog.
It was something that grew out of Series 1. I mean, in some ways, you know, television over the years has fragmented its scenes, and so to have a really long, you know, static interview scene, you know, it felt initially, I suppose, a bit of a gamble, but we shot it very early on, and I remember looking at the rushes and then seeing a very rough assembly, and just thought it was fantastic, because you've got such strength of writing and brilliant actors, all in a concentrated environment.
The tape, I'm referring to a transcript of an interview with you on May 21st. D.I. Cotton and I repeatedly asked you if there were inaccuracies in your account of Sergeant Waldron's shooting of Ronan Murphy.
We've now gone up to sort of 27 pages on this series for some of the interrogation scenes. You know, we need 2 or even 3 cameras so that we can both achieve the scene during the course of a shooting day, but also so that the actors don't come out exhausted. Because if you're doing 15 or even 20-minute takes, you know, you don't want to be doing that too many times, but you also need a huge amount of coverage in order to sustain that kind of length of scene. So I think now we're used to them, we plan for them, we have rehearsals before we shoot them with the cast, we usually have 3 cameras, and we have a brilliant cast who are word perfect, which means that, you know, we can shoot 23, 25-page scenes in a day.
Stand away from the door.
I had no intention of coming back, didn't think I was coming back. I thought Lindsay was going to prison for 30 years and that would be that. But because Jed's writing is so brilliant and just the way that it all panned out, I think she was just a character that really caught people's imagination, and so I was asked to come back.
Did you fabricate the improper relations between you and Detective Sergeant Arnott? No. Did you fabricate the planting of evidence against you? No. Lindsay Denton, aren't you an artful, devious person who has betrayed the trust placed in her as a police officer? No. And haven't you repeatedly and shamelessly connived to obstruct those who would bring you to justice? No, I haven't!
The thing that's really exciting about Line of Duty for me is Lindsay Denton. There's nobody else like her. I've never played anybody like her. I don't think anybody else has ever played anybody like her. We never quite know what we're getting.
No prior information of the operation to move Tommy Hunter. No prior information. No prior knowledge.
I mean, she's just fascinating. She's so multi-layered and just keeps you guessing. Thanks, Jed. It's all in the writing.
I couldn't agree more that the question of your sexual integrity quite rightly made the jury sceptical. But I've got a recording that will be of interest to you all.
All right, now, this just isn't the time or the place.
Now is exactly the time and exactly the place.
It's been great for me, this series, because I love playing this character and I love playing these things, but a lot of the information comes through Steve.
According to the FA1, you were issued with a Glock 17 service pistol, serial number Mike, November 8746.
In acting terms, it's sort of not like, it's a bit cliche to say the bad guy's exciting, but Lenny's part in the first series, Keely's part in the second series, that's where all the conflict and are the bad, are the good, you know, that's exciting for actors to play, whereas a lot of time I'm going like Image 92, 4-3, Ballistic, blah, 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 you know, a lot of that's, I'm just telling the audience where they're going, whereas this one, Steve's in a bit of trouble. And I kind of get to stretch my acting legs a bit as the series goes on, so that's been really enjoyable.
I've had my whole life put on trial, and now it's your turn.
You've been charged and tried, but the one person that refuses to examine what you're accused of is you.
I'm innocent. The question is, are you?
The big difference with Kate, I would say, is the relationship that she has with Steve and Dot.
Nice work.
Just doing my job, mate. It's quite conflicted with Steve. They're not getting on so well. And Dot and Kate are getting on in a kind of more ways than one.
And a seconds here if you fancy.
Any more and I won't get off this sofa.
It's the greatest character to play. It's the most fun because you're being all sorts of... You're constantly taking a hat off and putting it back on. So for an actor, it's difficult for me. I've got to keep remembering what type of person I am in every specific scene and to who. So you've got to keep on the ball all the time.
What are you doing? Why don't you just take the money?
It's because I'm a police officer!
We've always seen Dot as the very sort of calm, cool, collected criminal that he is. And this year we see him flap. The unflappable becomes flapped, and it's kind of terrifying for him to lose it at such a high level, because we haven't seen that before. So that's been really interesting for me.
I've got serious concerns about D.I. Cotton's performance of his duties under police conduct regs, and that's why he's having a go at me.
Sir, this is completely out of order.
During a search of Danny Waldron's flat, he failed in his duty to order the necessary forensics. He then induced a junior rank to hide this from me so I wouldn't find out he missed a crucial lead.
I knew things were going to come to a head between Steve and Dot this series, in one way or another. And it turns out actually Steve kind of gets sidelined in that thing, but I knew one of us, just because you need to, as much as it's reality, you need to give the fans a payoff. You know, something, because the other one quite ended, there needs to be something at the end and they all go, wow. And they've definitely got it this year. But yeah, so we've got, we became a right tight little group of friends, you know, me, Vicky, Adrian and Craig, and Lenny coming in, Keely coming in, and Neil Morrissey, TV's Neil Morrissey. But especially the four of us have been really close, and our little group is now broken up, sad to say.
I had intended that meeting in a more social setting would make this less confrontational between us.
Yeah. We've only just got started.
I would like the chicken liver pate and the sea bass. I'll be right back.
Thanks, and I'll have the soup, followed by the sirloin steak, medium well, and no sauce.
There's a little bit of something happening that's outside the main storyline, a separate storyline for himself, but not really a huge amount of private life because the actual main storylines are so involved. So I think he's going to be, you know, keeping his head down and trying to work out who the baddies are.
Sir, with respect, there's no operational reason to drag our feet over Fairbank.
I know how to conduct an anti-corruption case, Steve.
With respect, again, sir, I'm becoming concerned this inquiry's dragging its feet.
I'm not the issue here, son.
Sir?
I can't have you interviewing Fairbank because of the suspicions hanging over your head. That's why we're dragging our feet here against my better judgment.
Still this crap about me planting evidence against Lindsay Denton.
We'll bring Fairbank in, but I can't have you in the room. I will not risk jeopardizing future prosecutions.
Well, you're taking me off the case.
Don't make this harder than it is, son.
Well, harder than protecting a former chief super who just happens to be a Mason.
You are way out of line.
I saw your handshake.
You do not know the first thing.
I know you're trying to take me off a case that involves senior officers covering up child abuse.
The suspicions against you are more than just planting evidence, Steve.
There's quite a lot happening with him. Although it's very difficult to answer that question without telling you what's going on in Series 3.
I'm just doing my job.
And I'm doing mine. And it's called Nick and Bent Coppers. And I don't care whether it's one rotten apple or the whole bloody barrel. There's a line, it's called right and wrong. And I know which side my duty lies. So why don't you write a nice letter of resignation to the PCC, or I swear to God, I will drag you down with the rest of them.
In many ways, as the series progresses, you'll see that the drama focuses very much on the internal conflicts of the unit as much as it does on the conflict with the antagonist, the police officer that's under investigation.
We have an officer undercover probing for weaknesses in the team statements.
Has she found any?
Not yet, but she's only just started.
So she hasn't.
Look, I've seen enough bent coppers in my time to know when one of them is hiding something.
You know why I've been appointed? To ensure that anti-corruption inquiries don't get pulled apart in court to everyone's embarrassment.
Yeah, well, we'd all be severely embarrassed if Daniel Waldron manages to pull something like this off again. We are protecting the public, and sometimes that means we have to protect them from our own officers.
After Series 2 and the acclaim we had, there's always that worry, you know, what's the third album going to be like? But even from the very early conversations with Jed and hearing what he had planned and seeing the early outlines and those evolving into a brilliant first script, the casting of Danny Mays, I felt, look, we've got something very strong here. And, you know, Series 2 set a very high bar, but I really hope that Series 3 will at least match that. And that excites me. And I think we're also, with Series 3, it retains the strong thriller that Series 2 had, but I think there are kind of very pertinent underlying political themes that emerge during the course of the series, which will, you know, hopefully get a lot of talk about.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Catching criminals is tough enough, but catching coppers, God give me strength.
There are a lot of police dramas on TV, and I think that what makes Line of Duty distinctive is that it's cops versus cops. Most police dramas are the police hunting and chasing criminals, whereas we have police officers in a quest to bring other police officers to justice. And also we're a serial. We do 6 hours of one story. So we have lots of layers. We can get much more deeper into the story. And that, I think, allows us to do the big surprising twists and turns because we have the time to establish the direction of the story.